I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. I recently sat down with debut author KATE Pembrooke to discuss her fake courtship, Regency historical romance, Not the Kind of Earl You Marry. KATE also chatted about her Unconventional Ladies of Mayfair series. She explained how insomnia played an important role in writing her novel. And KATE played a fascinating round of random Regency trivia. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hi, KATE. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance.
Hi, Liz. Thanks for having me on today.
It is a pleasure. Congratulations on your debut historical romance, Not the Kind of Earl You Marry, which is book 1 in your Unconventional Ladies of Mayfair series. What can readers expect from the Conventional Ladies of Mayfair series? And also, how many books are planned?
It's a 3-book series right now. And I mean, there's no plans to carry it on beyond that unless my publisher approached me and said, hey, could we? Because, you know, there's always secondary characters that could come out of the woodwork and have their own stories. It's about women who are trying to live within the cultural system that existed for females in the Regency world, and yet, you know, have their own agency to the degree that they can. And so really the driver behind that is the heroine of book 2, not the heroine of book 1. And she is, she's kind of a crusader, I guess, passionate about her projects and just one of those people that really wants to try to help people that maybe don't have a champion. And so that was the genesis of the group of ladies that kind of started the Wednesday afternoon social club. And I gave it a very benign name because they don't want people to know how subversive, I guess, or unconventional. Mm-hmm. That's what we call, you know, the Unconventional Ladies of Mayfair, how unconventional these women can be in the privacy of their own group. And they go out and they, you know, try to make the world a better place. And that's really kind of the focus of the series.
Tell me about the heroine of Not the Kind of Earl You Marry, Charlotte. Tell me what her story is about.
Well, you know, Charlotte starts out pretty conventional, actually. She's a little bit on the older side. She's 23 in the book, so kind of pushing spinsterhood in the Regency world, or at least the Regency novel world. And she's not looking to get married, and there's that false betrothal announcement that's published in the newspaper that brings her and the hero William together. And William makes a very bad first impression, and Charlotte doesn't really like him at all. And so, you know, they have a moment, and she gives him a really nice set down. I loved writing the first chapter. And so, you know, they agree to this pretend betrothal, and Charlotte, you know, she's not like the heroine of the second book, Serena. You know, she is looking more to the conventional life, and she doesn't want to be drawn into the world of William's London society, which is a little bit a tier above what she's lived in so far.
So this marriage announcement in the newspaper sets off a series of events. How did that idea originate?
The real story is I couldn't sleep one night. And so I'm lying in bed, and my habit was to just make up stories in my head to entertain myself while I was trying to fall asleep. And that scene popped in my mind and stuck with me. And the next morning I woke up and I was just like, you know, I really like that. And I just kind of started noodling with it and messing with it. And that was the genesis of the book. I had no idea why a fake betrothal announcement had appeared in a paper. I had no idea of anything else in the story, just that opening scene and William being angry when he thinks that Charlotte is the, you know, the culprit behind it, trying to entrap him in marriage. And it just went from there. It took me a while to figure out the plot, for sure. I'm not a plotter. I am a pantser, you know, so I could sit and write dialogue all day long, but I have to figure out what's going to happen. That's the hard part for me.
Right. So Charlotte and William are engaged in a slow burn, opposites attract, fake engagement turned real love romance. I rooted for them from beginning to end. So that was a good sign that I felt so strongly about them and their love. Did the characters speak to you?
Well, they kind of speak to me, I guess. Really what happens is I sit down to write and they speak through me and they're talking. And then I have to figure out what to put around the conversation that they're having is really how it goes. And then the subplot with the whole Wednesday afternoon social club, that was, not in my mind at all initially. And that initial night of insomnia.
The formation of the Wednesday afternoon social club was so effortlessly interwoven into the story. In Charlotte having her world more opened up, because typically she was more like a wallflower, and being more open by having this relationship with William, and then he introducing her to so many people, it just seemed like the natural progression.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. And, the stage is set for Lady Serena's story coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And also just getting to know the other women who make up this group of, women who are for social justice. It did add such a richness to this world that Charlotte has now discovered and has been welcomed into. So I so enjoyed it. There was like a coziness. I don't know if anyone's mentioned, there's like a coziness to your writing and the world that you've built. Was that something you consciously strove for? Was that type of mood or feeling where the reader themselves would feel welcome and part of the group?
I wouldn't say consciously, but I think that's a reading experience I like when I'm reading. So probably subconsciously, but even Serena, she was not planned. The chapter in the Modiste shop when William's sisters take Charlotte trousseau shopping, fake trousseau shopping. Serena showed up in that scene as I was writing it. She just showed up. I didn't plan her. I just knew that she was kind of this crusading lady, and that she had these friends that were all, involved with this War Widows project. It's very organic. I don't know where my mind makes these leaps. I hadn't even read about War Widows that I recall at any rate. It just kind of pops into my mind and then I run with it. So that's how Serena came. So maybe that's why it felt organic, because it was not planned.
Oh,
so then I went back and planted her a little bit earlier. Story, and they actually meet up at the theater, which they hadn't done in the original draft.
Interesting.
Don't try to stay in the writing cave. I joined that 2021 debuts group with writers of all genres. So it's not just romance. It's all of us who had books coming out this year with all sorts of presses, big and small. And that has been tremendously helpful. So finding your network and finding your support system is just, you have to do it or you will just go bananas, I think. And it'll be so much more stressful because you have people to commiserate with you and you have people to cheer with you when you need that. I would say the other thing is that in publishing, there's a lot of waiting, and it feels like nothing is happening. And then you have these times when it feels like everything's happening at once. The month of July for me with the July release was just bonkers. I did not get much writing done. I thought I would get more done. So you have to build in that time to deal with all the other aspects of publishing. And so I just turned in my final page proofs for book 2. So I should be done with that one for a while. I should be done. My hands are off. It was like sending my kid off out into the world a little bit. So now I can really focus on book 3.
Which was the more fashionable instrument of the Regency era, the harp or the piano?
Everybody seemed to play the piano, at least in Pride and Prejudice. That's the impression I get. So I'm going to say harp because I don't hear of harp players as much. So maybe that was a little more fashionable and a little more elite.
You are correct. It is harp. It was more expensive and more difficult to learn. So It was deemed more fashionable. Can you list the 5 different ranks in the British peerage from highest to lowest?
I believe I can. So highest would be Duke, and then Marquess or Marquis, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Then comes the Earls, then the Viscounts, and then the lowly Barons.
Yes, a 5 for 5. Yes.
Well, you know, I'm repeatedly looking them up too to make sure I'm trying to get them right. I haven't been called out on any errors yet, but that's, you know, the day is young, I guess.
During the Regency era, which flower was considered unlucky?
Good, and I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
Lilacs.
You're kidding. That's one of my favorite flowers. Well, that's good to know. So I won't be putting lilacs in my story.
But then when Queen Victoria entered the scene, the luck of the lilac was changed. And then it became a very popular, lucky, you know, flower, which is not a Regency era parlor game. I'm going to give you some choices. Okay. Bullet pudding, snapdragon, or dicked in the knob, which is not a Regency era parlor game.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm remembering that snapdragon is, you know, dicked in the knob means, you know, you're not quite all there. Was it a game or not? I don't know. I'm going to say bullet pudding is, or no. You know, I'm going to say dicked in the knob is not a game.
You are correct.
Okay.
Dicked in the knob means silly or crazed.
What is bullet pudding?
So bullet pudding, you pile baking flour in a dish and you place a bullet at the top, and each person who plays has to cut a slice of the flour without disturbing the bullet.
Okay.
And if you cut it and the bullet falls, you have to poke around in the flour to find the bullet and then pick it up with your mouth.
Okay, so you're gonna get a whole face full of flour.
And that's
like the Regency era Jenga, kind of, I guess.
It's like Jenga and pie in the face. Like yeah. And snapdragon is when you set raisins on fire in a bowl of sherry and you need to pluck them out without getting burned.
They had some odd games back in the day.
Number 5, you are a young lady at a ball. A gentleman you do not fancy asks you to dance. This is the proper way to turn him down. 3 choices. Tell him your boyfriend would not approve. Tell him that your dance card is full for the evening. Tell him that you are not up to dancing at all, and then you just sit every dance out.
I know if you turn someone down, you are supposed to sit out the rest of the dances. There's reference to that actually even in Pride and Prejudice. So I'm going to go with, if you do not want to dance with him and you turn him down, that you just have to sit out the rest of the evening.
You are correct. You have done very well. And I fully expect that if there's, I'm sure there's going to be an antagonist in book 2, book 3, maybe the antagonist wears lilacs or gives lilacs to someone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, you know, all you have to do is just add at the back your author acknowledgments. Thanks to Liz for telling me about the lilac.
Oh, I absolutely will credit you if I use that. Absolutely.
Well, Kate, it has been a delight to chat with you and to talk about the Regency era. Thank you so much for joining me here on Rita Seeks Romance.
Oh, thank you. I had a great time, Liz.